Hello! We have another single long story today with part 2 and the continuation of yesterday's tale. And like it teased at the start of part 1, we're finally going to get into the whole juicy web of lies and double life part. As always, your support helps fight the Reddit bot menace. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Without further ado, the second starts with Update 2. July 18th, 2023. Hi all! So, I have an additional and probably not very surprising update to my saga. So, the more I thought about it, the more his requests, demands really, were sitting poorly with me. I decided to try a little experiment over the weekend to see what would happen if I tried to meet some of his demands. Not because I actually thought they were reasonable, but because I increasingly had the sense that the goalposts would just keep moving and that I was playing a losing game. So, Saturday morning, I went to the salon for a glow-up, haircut, fresh highlights, mani-pedi. Then went to the farmer's market to pick up fresh flowers for our table and assorted other gourmet ingredients. Saturday is usually our date night out, but I suggested we stay in, so I could make us a special dinner, steakhouse style. Lobster bisque, bread basket with several types of rolls, savory muffins made from scratch, crab stuffed mushrooms, filet mignon, au gratin potatoes, white chocolate mousse topped with raspberries. I wore a lavender, his favorite color on me, sheath dress and high heels and fully done hair and makeup. For all that, I got a lukewarm, "Thanks, it was tasty," and a kiss on the cheek. Of course I did all the serving and cleanup. Sunday we usually go out, but he suggested I make us brunch at home. So I made French press coffee, mimosas with fresh squeezed orange juice, Belgian waffles with a bananas Foster topping, eggs with Parmesan and fresh herbs, roasted fingerling potatoes, and maple glazed bacon. I wore a blue sleeveless sundress, wedge sandals, again did my hair and makeup. Again, I got a "Thanks, it's good," and no help with serving or cleanup. Afterwards, I asked if this is what he had in mind when he critiqued me before. He said that it was a start, but that I was acting very entitled for wanting credit for basic adulting. He then dropped a bomb that he was being so hard on me because he had realized lately I had a lot to make up for due to my being a low-value woman. I asked what on earth he meant by that, and he said it was because I wasn't a virgin when we met. What? Keep in mind, we started dating at 21. Neither of us claimed to be virgins or stated that as an expectation. Except for very religious people, neither of us is. I don't think most 21-year-old college students are virgins. I was upfront with him then that I'd had 2 previous partners, my high school boyfriend, we went our separate ways when we went to different colleges in different parts of the country. Then another boyfriend I'd had my first year of college. And that's it. Both committed relationships and nothing casual. He then went on to say that because of my low value, I was going to need to be making it up to him for the rest of my life. That I didn't deserve monogamy or equal treatment, and that I was lucky that anyone at all wanted to marry me. And that he's connected with someone from work, so if I wanted to keep him, I'd better step up. I told him it didn't sound like there was anything to keep if he no longer loved me or even liked or respected me. Told him to leave, and he said he would gladly go to his girlfriend's place. I know so many people here insisted he was having an affair, and I just didn't want to see it. That his complaints were really all part of a campaign to distance himself from me. I feel so foolish for just thinking he was going through a stressful time at work, or that he genuinely wanted to work on our marriage. Anyway, I have taken the week off from work to get my head together, have an appointment with a lawyer tomorrow. Canceled the marriage counseling appointment, but got a referral to an individual therapist who can do an intake session with me later in the week. He and the girlfriend, apparently, are coming this evening to get more of his clothes and things, so I have to brace myself for that. Also, please be assured I do not think I am low value in any way. I let my husband make me think less of myself on some levels for a short time, but now I truly see it was a him problem. Obviously, we don't share the same goals and values, and he has become someone I don't recognize. I know the divorce won't be fun or easy, but I will be okay. Thank you all for helping me see that I was being played before I wasted too much more time in a marriage that was already over. Relevant comments. One last gem from the husband. Retroactively punishing me for not being a virgin at the outset after a 12-year relationship including 10 years of marriage is just completely over the top. I even said, So, this person you connected with at work is actually a virgin? Well, she was, he said with a smirk. So, virgin or not, someone who would sleep with a married colleague is higher value than me? Unless he lied about his marital status or situation, which I wouldn't put past him. Yes, he admitted he has been having an affair for several months. He kept trying to say that it doesn't really count as cheating because I'm low value, so the standards are different. Someone said, a spouse who is having an affair starts criticizing aspects of the betrayed spouse's appearance, taste, upbringing, values, and background that were never an issue before he or she chose to stray as, in their warped perception, justification for cheating. I will bet you dollars to half moons, a bakery treat from my childhood home, that OP's non-virginity was not a true problem for her soon-to-be ex, or he never would have married her. He simply latched onto it as rationalization for his outrageous demands, a deflection from his infidelity, because it's something that she cannot change. I would say that he is the low-value partner. OP. Yes, this completely makes sense now. Initially, he started criticizing things that had never been an issue before, but that would hurt my feelings. But ultimately, they were things I could change if I wanted to. My appearance, cooking, housekeeping effort, and even my career aspirations. When he found I did make a quick effort to change some of those things, he moved to criticizing something I cannot ever change, my romantic history, something he could hold over me forever if I stayed in the relationship. Update 3, July 20th, 2023. Folks have been asking me this week how things went with him picking up his stuff, meeting with my lawyer, etc. So wanted to share those updates for anyone interested. So he was supposed to come get his stuff on Tuesday evening, a couple days ago, but told me at the last minute he couldn't because Amy, his girlfriend, wasn't feeling well. Some people called in the comments. But yes, she's pregnant apparently. I knew it. He told me this on text, so I have proof of the affair in writing now. It's not just his word against mine. Anyway, I didn't want him to keep jerking me around on the schedule for whatever reason, so I told him I'd pack his stuff for him and arrange for movers. I think it's better that way. I really didn't want him or them in the house. I already had arranged for a friend to come over on Tuesday when he and Amy were supposed to come by, so the two of us spent the evening packing his clothes and other personal effects. The movers came yesterday and got the boxes and the furniture items he wanted. He didn't want much, just the stuff from his home office and his dresser, as apparently Amy's apartment is small. I provided a detailed inventory and photos of everything which he approved, so he can't say that I broke or otherwise ruined his stuff. After that, yesterday, I went to the clinic to get STD tests. Won't have the results for a week or so, but thankfully I haven't had any symptoms. I met with my lawyer, who said I had a good case for grounds of adultery and mental cruelty if I want or need to go that route. At a minimum, it's leverage to get him to settle quickly and quietly. Also, lock down all the finances within the parameters provided by the lawyer so that he can't empty our joint funds or take anything that belongs to me. I changed account beneficiaries and all that fun stuff. Changed the locks to the house too. I decided to take the advice of some of the comments and am getting rid of the bed and other bedroom furniture I shared with him. I'm donating it. Someone is coming this afternoon to haul it all off. I am going to completely redecorate the bedroom to my own taste. That will take a bit, staying in one of the guest rooms in the meantime. I'm also taking a spa weekend away, leaving tomorrow morning and back Sunday night, just to get a change of scenery before I have to go back to work next week. And yes, even after buying the gaming setup, I have plenty of fun money left in my account to afford my lawyer's retainer and redoing the bedroom, as well as my getaway, with plenty left over. Here's to frugality when it counts. Those are the main updates for the moment. I'm doing better than expected, I think, and realizing more day by day that it really wasn't a good marriage. At least not for the last couple years when he started expecting me to do everything around the house. Plus all the other emotional labor of running our lives outside of work, with no help and little to no gratitude. Amy sure is going to have her hands full. Relevant comments. The incoming child. Also, he was hardcore child-free before. I didn't want kids either, but he was especially militant about it. I mean, maybe he changed his mind, but it doesn't seem like this was exactly a planned pregnancy. Plus, he can't even be bothered to put his own laundry in the hamper or put a dish in the dishwasher. How is he going to deal with an infant? Anyway, not really my problem, and I guess he'll figure it out. Or not. Is he her superior at work? My understanding is that they are peers. He isn't her boss. I don't think it is against the rules for coworkers of the same level to date. At least not as some of our, well, his really friends met at work there and it wasn't an issue. So for that reason, I think I'll stay out of it, especially as I do want him to stay gainfully employed until the divorce is completely final. Still, I agree it's awfully foolish to have an affair at work that results in a pregnancy while one of the people is still married. I mean, you can't hide that messiness. It's going to be physically obvious. Further info on that. Right, it's probably going to cause some drama at the office, but isn't fireable unless they do something even more foolish, like getting caught in the act at work. As far as I know, nothing like that happened. When he was disclosing the affair the other day, he said that he often went to her place after work when he was supposedly working late, and sometimes on Saturdays instead of playing golf. How is a 24-year-old making the same amount of money as your ex? They are both in an executive training program for fairly recent MBA graduates. Amy is apparently some sort of prodigy who got hers at 21. My soon-to-be ex started out in supply chain management. Then the company paid for his MBA, which he finished a couple years ago. And after that, he moved to the finance side and was accepted into the training program earlier this year. She's 24, apparently graduated from college at 18 and got her MBA at 21. And he just got his MBA a couple years ago, was on a different business operations track before switching to finance. Update 4, August 17th, 2023. I'm updating again here because a lot of kind people have been checking in with well wishes and to see how I'm holding up. Sorry for not updating sooner, but as soon as I got back from the spa weekend I mentioned in my last update, I dove into working with my attorney on the divorce settlement. I didn't think it wise to put my business on the internet, however anonymously, with the legal issues up in the air. The good news is that we were able to come to an agreement pretty quickly and everything is now executed. Just waiting for the court date, which could take another couple months, but my lawyer says the agreement is airtight. It wasn't quite as favorable as most of you all lovely folks probably would have wanted for me, but I was highly motivated to get it done fast. I did get everything that really mattered to me. First, the house I inherited from my grandmother is 100% mine, along with all the furnishings and other effects in the house. My own retirement accounts and my fund money account are all mine as well. Otherwise, I did have to give him 75% of the other cash assets. Although he wasn't on the title for the house, he did contribute substantially to the large renovation we did, as well as to the upkeep since then, and the house appreciated very substantially in the years since we moved in. It's fine, as I still have plenty of money, especially as I'm quite frugal most of the time and can rebuild cash savings quickly. Our agreement also states that neither of us has a claim on each other's past, present, or future earnings. So, in case something happens and he loses his job before the court date, I won't be liable for any alimony. This is actually overall a very good deal for me and gives me a lot of security. In case anyone is wondering how we got this done so quickly, our state allows divorce on mutual consent grounds. That basically allows for a quick divorce without a legal separation period if the parties come to an agreement about all the finances and assets. Given that Amy is pregnant, my soon-to-be ex, let's call him Joe, yes, like the psychopath in the show You, was also very motivated to not drag this out. Now for the real dirt of this update. Last weekend, shortly after all our papers were signed, Amy reached out to me. She asked if we could meet and talk. Perhaps I should have declined, but I will admit I was curious about the 24-year-old prodigy and until recently a virgin person who was Joe's affair partner, so I agreed to meet her for lunch. So the first thing is, Amy is very pregnant, like third trimester. She confirmed she is due in mid-October, which means the affair has been going on a whole lot longer than Joe let on. Whatever, it's water under the bridge as the divorce is almost final. However, after some polite but chilly pleasantries, she asked me, when am I going to be moving out of the house? Because surely Joe has been patient enough with giving me time to get my life together. And her apartment is small, and they are needing space for the baby. Oh, goodness. What? I told her she must be mistaken, as the house is mine, inherited from my grandmother, but asked her, what else has Joe told her about me and our marriage? And lie after lie, Joe's lies, that is, tumbled out of her mouth, along with crumbs of the real story. The gems include, well, it was true that she and Joe met at work, but it was about a year ago when they were both interviewing for the executive training program they are now in. Amy said, though, that they first became friends before getting together romantically. Apparently, Joe told her that he was legally married, but that we had been separated in spirit and living separate lives since 2020. but that he didn't want to kick me out and make me homeless during the pandemic because I didn't make much money and we live in a HCOL area. Joe told Amy that we met in our early 20s when he was mentoring me in a GED prep program, that I was a high school dropout who was struggling with addiction, and essentially that he rescued me, helped me get clean, tutored me for my GED, and had been supporting me since through gradually working on college classes. He told Amy I was working on prepping for an IT career and was currently making $45K as a help desk technician, and that he wanted to make sure I could at least afford a studio apartment. He also told Amy that we had separated because I had relapsed and he couldn't have a meaningful relationship with the drug addict. All this is lies. My entire history of drug use is occasionally sharing a joint in college, maybe 4 to 5 times total, never anything harder. It is true that Amy was a 24-year-old virgin prodigy. She seemed dismayed that Joe had told me that, though, at least the virgin part. Said it wasn't a moral issue, she really was just focused on school and work and didn't make time to date. And that generally guys her age seem mostly interested in casual hookups, especially the younger finance bro types, and she wasn't interested in that. Joe took the time to get to know her and was actually interested in a meaningful relationship. I asked her if the pregnancy was planned. She said no, of course not, but it was a miracle because Joe had a vasectomy, so they took that as a sign that they should keep the baby. No, Joe did not have a vasectomy. As we were planning to be a child-free couple, I suggested it a couple times over the years. He firmly stated he didn't want to alter his body like that, so he left birth control as my responsibility. So, it really does seem that Amy is pretty blameless here. I mean, those of us who have been around the block would likely know not to believe a guy who claims to be separated, but is still legally married and living with his wife, but without her having any dating or relationship experience, I can see where she would have taken him at his word about everything. After all, I didn't know anything was amiss with Joe until a couple months ago, and I was married to him. Of course, Amy didn't want to believe me, and I don't blame her for that either. After all, she's been in a relationship with Joe for close to a year and is 7+ months pregnant with his baby, who is coming soon, ready or not. I couldn't immediately refute everything she said, but showed her a couple things. First, a picture of me in my late teens with my grandmother in front of my house. Then my LinkedIn profile, which shows my current job and education. Told her to do what she wanted with the info and to please stay safe and take care of herself. And then said my goodbyes. Yes, it was all very odd and unexpected and surreal. Sorry this is so long, but figured those following my tale would be interested in this turn. I am not sure if I will update again. Maybe in a year or so when I have truly processed everything with lots of therapy and am hopefully on to living my best life. As for Joe and Amy, it's up to them to find whatever their path is. I do hope she wises up and leaves him, but am sadly not confident about that. I'm sure he will be able to spin all this in his favor because that's what he does. But I also can't make it my problem anymore. Relevant comments. I think I've determined that because Amy's pregnancy was progressing, he was starting to get nervous about how he would juggle everything and decided to preemptively blow up the marriage in order to get the upper hand. So none of those things were genuine critiques. They were just designed to throw me off balance. I hope Amy kicks him to the curb. I hope so, for her sake. He's obviously not husband and father material. But I have to detach from caring about the outcome, even if I do feel bad for her falling victim to his charms in such a disastrous way. How did she take it when you said you owned the house? She didn't really believe me about the house and said she was going to have to talk to Joe about it. She said she hoped I would think about it and not be so stubborn, and that the offer remained open to take the money she offered to move out by the end of September. Moving forward. After Joe, I think I am going to take a long hiatus from men and dating. And I think anyone I date any more than extremely casually will be subject to an extensive background check. Maybe the reason he didn't have more fun money was that he was spending it on her. Oh yes, definitely. A lot of the golf days were actually spent with her, not golfing, and he only played golf once or twice a month, not weekly as he represented to me. Apparently, he convinced her that the reason he could never spend the night with her during most of the past year, before he moved in with her, was that I tended to get high in the evenings and he was always worried I would OD if he wasn't there to keep an eye on me. Did you tell her he didn't really have a vasectomy? I did tell her, but her answer to that was to insist that he did have one. He just didn't want to tell me. Because he had only gotten one because although he did want kids, he didn't want to bring them into the world with a drug addict spouse. He smeared your character. Make sure to let your lawyer know. I will definitely ask my attorney about it to see if you will need to put out some kind of statement correcting the record or can at least be prohibited from telling more of these lies. You're right that I don't want any of this getting back to my own family, friends, and colleagues. Although, I think it does work in my favor that he told so many lies. For example, that I was a high school dropout and that we met while he was tutoring me for my GED, which is easily disprovable. So if he'd lie about that, why would people believe anything else he says about me? Holy doodle cakes, that was a doozy. OP needs to write a book and sell this as a screenplay. Amy clearly has her head in the sand and will unfortunately learn the hard way that she has saddled herself for life to a pathological liar. I wonder if she's naive or in denial, or perhaps a bit of both. She needs all the luck she can get. And sure, maybe he does make enough money to attract some hot younger woman, but with a new baby on the way, he might find out that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And that's it for today. Until next time, shine bright, Starlight. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.